I lived in a one-parent household, and that one parent was my mother, the poor woman, who was afraid of everything. She was afraid of the heat, the cold, mice, food spoiling, bees in the backyard. To her, every action, no matter how small, no matter how seemingly harmless, had the potential to be a catastrophe. You could say that even flights into the imagination were to her a risky venture. All in all, her motto in life was, when faced with the daily challenges of existence, do nothing, then you're safe. Also, nobody could possibly laugh at you. Twice a week when I was 14, I had to travel into Manhattan from my house way out in Laurelton, Queens, to get stuck in the arm by an allergist, with no visible effect except pain. Naturally, my mother warned me about the subways. They were nasty, dangerous places. And this, mind you, was in the late 1950s, when the subways were relatively clean and free of desperation and crime. Down on the platform, I was instantly afraid. It was the noise, the darkness, the uncontrollable power of it. I boarded the train. It looked like just one more careful ride. Now, I always, without planning to, used to sit in the front of the train, the first car, and in the front of the front car, right near that little window with the wires running through it, the one that looked right out onto the tracks. I desperately wanted to get up and look through it, but I was naturally afraid because, of course, it might be dangerous, and it was very uncool. After all, I was 13 and a half. What would people think standing up there? That's for little kids and hopeless dorks. Another gift from my mother, an overwhelming fear of other people's bad opinions. I went all the way into Manhattan, got stabbed in the arm by the allergist.
Okay, here we go.
And then I walked slowly back to the subway, headed back towards Queens. I was feeling just so miserable. The accumulated despair and oppression of 13 years of be carefuls and watch outs, and the allergist shots, which never did any good anyway, me still sniffling and stuffing my way through life. I had gotten on the first car, as usual. I looked over at that little window, then around the car. Ladies were reading their novels, men with their papers, and I said to myself, oh, the hell with it. Who cares if it might be dangerous? And who cares who's staring at me? I'm just going to do it. So I got up, planted myself in front of the window, and looked out, and it was as beautiful as I had ever imagined it would be. Off in the distance, there were lights, red, yellow, blue, green, traffic lights, I suppose. But to me then, they looked like fabulous jewels or stars glimmering and shining in space. The train rushed along, huge and powerful, unstoppable, through the dark tunnel, inches away from the walls. Whoosh! The lights of the next station far ahead, people like tiny ants waiting for it, pulled in with a roar, picked up passengers, and then off again into that dark, glittering universe. I rode that train standing up for 40 minutes all the way to the end of the line in Queens. After that, I always looked out the window whenever I went to Manhattan, and as I got older, whenever the need or the spirit moved me, I got up and looked out the window. Now I'm 45. Mundane responsibilities weigh me down. Bills, taxes, the incredible task and expense of raising 2 kids in Manhattan. Friends are gone, hopes unrealized, rejections in my career. I haven't looked out that window much. About a year ago, I was with my 4-year-old son on the #1 local train going downtown. The train was rushing along, tilting and swaying. He wanted to stand up and grab the pole. No, I said, you'll fall down, smack your head. He looked at me, and I realized I'm being just like my mother. Safety first, freedom never. I stood up and said, you know what, let's go up and look at the window in the front. I took him by the hand, and we walked up and looked out the window. Dark tunnel, beautiful lights glowing everywhere. His face was transformed with wonder. Dad, he said, we could be in outer space, couldn't we? Oh, we could, I told him. Absolutely we could.
What a lovely story. I hate to break the mood, but do you think we really should ride in the front of the train? I mean, aren't we told to ride in the middle where there might be a cop or more people?
Oh, you know, you can't live your life like that. One of the great things, you know, if you get on the IND, this is an amazing place. You get on the IND at 59th Street, on the express track, and on your right is the local. And the 2 trains leave at the same time. And you're watching them both pick up speed, and you can see the people in the other cars and their faces kind of flashing by you, and all of a sudden they drop down, and they're gone, out of sight. And if you turn your head to the left, suddenly they're on your left. I've always found that to be the most magical thing in the world. I love it.